Hi everyone, it's Jen here. Thank you for watching Really Rooted. Today I'm just getting started back up in the garden. You know, I've done a little bit over the winter, but not a whole lot. I've been pretty busy at the office and have some stuff going on inside my house as well. So before I get started, I thought I'd give everyone a tour because I think it's really a great thing to show people that not everything's perfect. And number two, I like to look back and just see my progress. So even things like taking tags off bushes. I have some tags I'm gonna show you. And I think really garden cleanup is the #1 thing that you can do to make your yard look great. And I get excited and I like planting, but really the garden cleanup gives me the most satisfaction. So what you're gonna see today is a little bit of chaos and a lot of things I need to work on, but when you see my next tour, then you'll see the progress. All right, let's get started. So let me show you it in the greenhouse first. I've got to clean this window. I've got some seeds up here. I got some bell vine, some cup and saucer vine, some snapdragons, some peppers, some tomatoes. Down here I have, this is actually, and I'll do a video on these, this is a hairy lip fern that tolerates sun. And I overwintered these in the greenhouse and they have some fabulous growth. And then I have the stainless steel heuchera that I need to get in the ground, and some more ferns and hostas. This is just temporarily placed here. This is one of the things I'm doing today, is planting up some of my roots. And in here I have more seedlings. I do have a heater in this greenhouse, and today we're in the 70s and it gets quite warm in here. So a lot of my seeds didn't require a heat mat. Just the dome and the heater with the door shut at night, and they've done pretty well. So I'm really excited to give you a good update on my seedlings this year. I normally don't give them the attention they need, and I get a little bit discouraged, and then I end up going to the nursery and buying plants. But I really want to try to conserve and grow something. I think you get a lot more pride when you're growing something from seed. For my pots up there, I need to switch out a birdhouse, and I have a succulent. So this bed right here, we have a large, beautiful crepe myrtle, and then I have some crocosmia planted in here. I have a lot of weeds. So the weeds, you know, I saw them a few weeks ago, and now they're just overtaken, and I need to get in here and pull those weeds. Some lemon coral sedum. I really love how it drapes over the rocks in this bed. I think it's a nice look. I have some daffodils. A few of them got burned from the first, we had a hard frost not too long ago. It got down to 19 degrees and it damaged the hyacinth. But fortunately, these blooms were not open yet, so they didn't get any damage. And I need to clean up the sedum, pull the weeds in here. Deadhead the hyacinth. That was Yellowstone hyacinth. I have some snowdrops. And I need to fertilize and trim up my boxwood hedge. This is a winter green boxwood. I also have a lot of tags on my plant. And like these, I know these are limelight hydrangeas. I can tell by looking at them. And I can remember that. So I'm gonna go ahead and start taking tags. These limelights need to be trimmed. And let me turn you around to the pool. There are 3 limelights on the back side of the pool, and I will be trimming up those soon. You guys, I don't know if you can hear the wind or see the wind, but it is windy today. And I appreciate it though, because it's a little warm out. I have some lilies coming up, and you can see some frost damage on those from the freeze that we had. Over here, this kind of slopes down, and we did the no-dig method, so we just placed the bulbs down and covered them with soil, covered them with topsoil, and they've done pretty well. There's some some crocus, daffodils, some alliums that are starting to come up. And this bed has a lot of rock in it for some reason, and so it's just really hard to dig. But I will be planting a tree here very, very soon, and we planted a deodar cedar right there. These two trees on the hammock are coming out. The one on the right side over here is damaged. It's pretty much dead, so we're going to be taking that one out, and the one next to it as well. And this garden has just been kind of a test and trial area. I have some boxwoods in here. Look at these beautiful daffodils. Aren't these gorgeous? I love that bright orange center. I don't remember the name of these, but I'll try to put it up on the screen. I'll try to remember to do that. Some alliums coming up in here as well. And the clematis vine is beginning to wake up. So excited for that. I need to clean up and divide my lamb's ear. And this is the Duchess of Edinburgh clematis. As you can see, this gets quite a bit of shade, but it seems to like living there, and I really don't want to move it. It has beautiful blooms, beautiful double flower blooms. And back to this bed. I have lots of hostas in here, and ferns, and things that are really tolerant to shade. And although we're getting full sun right now, when this crepe myrtle fills out, this area gets quite a bit of shade. Same thing over here. This particular area gets full sun. So I do have an iceberg rose here, and it overwintered very, very well. And these ferns I need to clean up. We have more ferns that went dormant that are coming back to life. Hi, Jagger. These heucheras need to be cleaned up. You can see they have new growth, and I just need to get in there and trim out the old stuff. You can see how much better these lamb's ear have done, and all they had was the protection from the eaves, so they've done quite well. I have some tulips coming up here and over here. Now these cedar trees get quite large, and they were here when we moved in. So we're going to be taking those out. I'm going to put a weeping cherry in this corner right here. And I'm going to be maybe putting another tree. I have hostas that are still asleep in this area, so they do need some shade, but these trees are just going to overtake this area at some point. So we're going to be getting rid of those. snowdrops after the look how pretty these are. These have lasted a long time. After the hellebores, the laconium were the first things to bloom, and they have been blooming for several weeks now. See all the buds on this Queen Anne Japanese maple. I believe that's what it's called, to double check that. And over here, we're creating a border for this area. Fatsia japonica. It's kind of dry. We had a rather dry winter, and I do have some stuff to get in the ground. But like I said, I really wanted to give you guys a tour of the before, and I wanted it for my own personal records as well. And here I've got to kill the grass, but I have ferns, hostas, a steel bee, and some other things in this area. I want to show you guys this hellebore. This self-seeded, and it's just magnificent. Autumn joy sedum coming up, which I need to move. This space doesn't get quite enough sun for the autumn joy sedum to be happy. And then this daisy, this is a Montauk daisy. I'm going to remove this and plant it on the hillside. I love the sweet autumn clematis on this fence. I left it for some winter interest, but I do need to clean it up now that we have new growth. A waterfall, Japanese maple, and look at these wild violets, guys. Aren't those pretty? I recently trimmed back this camellia. This is an October Magic camellia. It gets white blooms in the fall. And here's another waterfall maple, along with some daffodils that were just done with the no-dig method. Now I had several of my daffodils that were in bloom when the freeze came, and those didn't do too well. But fortunately, I have several varieties, and I have had several that had not bloomed yet. So I still got quite a lovely show. I need to come in and clean these up. Here's another hellebore that needs to be cleaned up. Hey, kitty. And I have a peony planted in this area and some other things, but I need to get these dead leaves out of here and get to cleaning up this bed. I have a little pine tree that's a volunteer, so I've got to decide if I'm going to leave it because it's only a few feet from the sidewalk. But if you look over here at this pine tree, it's kind of the same situation, so I will probably just leave it. The forsythia was beautiful when these daffodils were blooming. It was just a show of yellow. And I'm not crazy about forsythia, I'll be honest with you. But man, it sure does put out a pretty bloom when these daffodils bloom. We have daffodils over here as well. Kitty. And a limelight hydrangea. That's our painter's truck. I have some painting the interior of my house today. I'm not painting it. I hired someone to paint it. Last weekend I added the stepping stone path. I've got to space these out a little bit more. My husband came in and said, oh, you need them closer together, but it's just really uncomfortable to walk so closely. So really, we just need every other one. We planted a weeping willow over there. Our property line goes to that pine tree over there and back, all back into the woods. This tree gets rather large, and my husband planted it here, but it's going to get too big, and it's going to eventually come into a conflict with the sidewalk. So I'm going to have him move it to the edge of that property. Some of these trees are coming out, so I think it'd be a nice tree for that area. You can see back in the woods, lightly sprinkles of pink. We have lots of wild red beds out there that are just fabulous. The oriental spruce is doing well. And I have some hostas in this area that haven't come up, and I did have some astilbes. I'm not sure if they'll come up. We had a pretty dry winter. Carolina sapphire tree. This was a little bitty one when I planted it, and now it's about 8 feet tall. Here is the rising sun of redbud. You can see these beautiful red buds. It's the name redbud. Planted those 2 steed hollies over there. And I'm thinking about taking out these 2 crepe myrtles, although I love the one in the back. I feel like these have just had crepe myrtle done to them too many times. And I'm just, you know, other than the large one in the back and one on the side of my house, I'm just not really a fan of the crepe myrtle. And the tulip tree right there is a small tulip tree, but in the freeze it was damaged. Buds were damaged. Definitely need to weed this area, do some cleanup. I'm going to fertilize and trim these boxwood hedges in front of the house. And I'm going to be taking out these for green arborvitae. I don't like them. I'm probably going to replace them with holly, but I'm not 100% sure yet. I just really love these petite daffodils. Aren't they glorious? Just so delicate and beautiful. Some more tulips. We had this for Christmas on the porch, and I've got to get this in the ground. I have a window box right here, and then some trellises that I ordered online on Amazon that I will be putting up. Some more of these really pretty petite daffodils. We gave our sunshine ligustrums a hard prune. And the peach patio peach tree lost some of its blooms in the freeze, but there's still buds on it. So we'll see how pretty they get. And then there's one lone flower on the star magnolia in the pot. We will be taking out this tree here. This rose garden just gets too much shade. But I have bought a plethora of trees to plant. And some more roses, because some of the roses just simply didn't get enough sun and didn't make it. See, I have lots of plants to plant, but I'm gonna get things cleaned up. We're still about, I'd say 20 days from our last frost date, which means I can plant some of this stuff. Like you can plant trees right now, you can plant arborvitae and perennials. Now on something like this, you can go ahead and plant this, but you may want to protect it. This is a rhododendron. You may want to protect the blooms if you get a hard frost. Some calla lilies, the pansies are okay to go in the ground. And these Gerber daisies are annuals, so those are not okay to go in the ground. So, you know, do your research before you start planting, before your last frost date. This is a beautiful weeping cherry tree that we will be putting in that corner. Alright guys, I'm back in my greenhouse. I always feel like if my greenhouse is cleaned and neat, then I just feel more peaceful. And it also motivates me to do more work in the yard. So I'm gonna get my greenhouse cleaned up today. I'm also going to be doing some weeding and trimming my limelight hydrangeas, but you know, there are so many videos out there on weeding and trimming hydrangeas that I'm not gonna videotape that. But when I start planting my trees, I will provide videos for those. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, just leave them in the comments section below. Thank you for watching. Bye.